Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here, and sorry I didn't get a lot of videos out today. I've been playing DBZ Kakarot, and I've been having a blast playing that game. Just start to deflate from work, and a lot of stuff, personal stuff's been piling on. I need to start to figure everything out a little bit more. I've been pretty much just letting things go, but now I think I have to really hit the nail on the headstone on a lot of things. So I'll be pulling back a little bit of my videos. I'll probably be doing maybe one video a week if I have the time until I get certain situations taken care of, and then I figure out what I'm really going to be doing, and also get myself back into the gym. I've been saying that for a couple of months now, and I've been really pulling the trigger, but I got to get into the gym. Okay, so what is this video about? And I watched my boy's subjective review, and he did a video about the whole Ezra Miller and how this is the multiverse and this is how WB is going to try to fix everything. So everybody's going to get their cake and eat it too. And that's why that's why I did a video about the multiverse, and I did a video and I linked in my accuracy versus storytelling, the dawn of source material, and it's got a good amount of reviews and I'm sorry, a good amount of views and some thumbs up. I hope you guys go and watch that video because this is where I stand on it. And them using the multiverse as a platform, it's a double-edged sword, but I think that it's a much better way of doing things. I think that it's a bet. It's a true safe bet. Now, he did bring up some news saying that the whole Ezra Miller situation on the CW was done by WB. From what I read, I think it was more on Jim Lee, because Jim Lee is the chief creative officer for DC and DC Entertainment. He took the job from Jeff Johns, and that means that he has say over what's going to be happening on the TV shows, the animation movies, animation TV, streaming service, and even in the movies. Even though Walter Hamada is the producer of all of it, he still has to go through Jim Lee to get the okay to use, so and so characters. And also Jim Lee does have a specific right to say, hey, no, let's not use this character, let's use this character instead. So Jim Lee has a lot of power when it comes to what is being shown on TV, and also what's shown on all types of media and the medium, than even Walter Hamada does. And I think that's the best bit. That's the best way that DC can actually have this happen. You have a person that has a link to DC Comics, who is written for DC Comics. I'm sorry, no, he was drawn for DC Comics, been with DC Comics for close to 20 years. He was with Marvel for close to, I think, 5 or 6 years before he left, and he was with Marvel during the whole X-Men run when Chris Claremont was there. So and that was in the 80s. So Jim Lee left there and went to DC, and he's been with DC ever since. So if there's anybody other than Jeff Johns, and I know how people feel about Jeff, I know how they feel about what he did. I feel the same way. I think the guy really wanted to try to get to the nook and cranny about what needs to be told. But I think that he was blinded over the fact of trying to be the next Kevin Feige, instead of saying, hey, you know what, let me stand back, let me give them the ideas and then see what the director wants to do. I think that he was trying to be the Kevin Feige, and I think the Kevin Feige situation is going to eventually bite Marvel in the butt, because Kevin Feige hasn't written comic books. He has never written a comic book before in his life. And he has never done anything for comic books. He's just a producer. So he understands the fad. He understands the market. He understands what tempo for the audience. And case in point, look at what happened with Marvel in Phase 1. By the time they got to Guardians of the Galaxy, they were already kind of set on certain things, and they started adding more jokes. The moment Guardians of the Galaxy, which was in a way their most risque type of movie, it made a lot of money, and it got a lot of acclaim by the fans, and it got acclaimed by the critics. And I'm not going to say the critics, but by the fans. And that's when he knew this is the money market. Let's make it very kiddie. Let's put in a joke a minute. And that's what he did in every single movie. To take away the tension of the emotional toil, he threw in a joke. He threw in a joke. And that's what defeated a lot of the Marvel movies for a lot of fans, and even for myself. I want the emotional turmoil. I want to see the heroes see everything fall to pot. I want to see them see their whole universe crumble around them, and we see that they rise above it to try to salvage whatever the heck they want. We've seen that numerous times in the comic books. Everybody has seen that. That is to me, that's the hallmark of a hero. A hero shines when it's the darkest, not when it's the brightest. Just because the story, just because the situation is dark, doesn't mean that that's a very good heroic tale. So that's me. Okay, that's me. Like I said, I'm on the fence. Just show me what you guys got, and I'll suspend I will suspend my disbelief if it warrants it. Okay, so me personally, I want to thank and I want to applaud Jim Lee for giving CW Ezra Miller, and Ezra Miller was in it to win it. He was in it. He was like, "Hey, this is pretty cool." He said, and somebody used a quote that he said years, a couple of years ago, before the Justice League movie came out. He said that it would be cool to be on the TV show. He thought it would be awesome to have his version of the Flash mixed with Grant Gustin's version of the Flash. Hell, even John Wesley Shipp. That'd be great. That'd be mind blowing. Because even from Ezra Miller's perspective, he's around my age. He remembers John Wesley Shipp as the Flash. Almost all my age category remembers John Wesley Shipp as the Flash. And to see him back in the suit, see him back as the Flash, oh man, that was history for us. That's literally if Christopher Reeve was still alive and he put on the suit and became literally became Kingdom Come Superman, I would actually be astounded. It might actually bring a tear to my eye, because we've seen his character go through this, and now him at that right age and him showcasing himself as the Superman, I'll be okay with that. Like I was okay with how they did Kevin Conroy as he was literally the Kingdom Come Batman. He was angry, he was bitter, he was a mix between the Kingdom Come Batman and the Dark Knight Returns Batman. He was a mix, and I kind of like that. It was actually pretty interesting for them to do something like that. And again, I understand how people feel. They're like, wait a minute, what the hell? Batman's a killer. That's the whole point of what they were doing. At the end of all this, it was the multiverse. It was the complete multiverse. Things changed, and it changed heroes. It changed perspectives. It changed who they are, and what they stood for. And we got a darker version of Batman, a very dark version of Batman. So, again, I had no problem with it, because I wanted to see. I thought it was kind of goofy that they were able to overpower him, even though he has an exosuit strong enough to take on a Kryptonian, but Kate was able to take him out. I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. There were certain things in there that made no sense, but I understood the concept of the story they were trying to tell. And it was to build Kate's character, to get her out of what the heck she was at in the first 8 episodes of her own season, and slowly get her into the mindset of that she has to stand for something else other than being a angry person beating up criminals at the end of the night. So she has to stand for something, and she's not standing for anything. And so now we got to see where she's at. And I said that I felt that her change was not completely justified yet. I feel that she should be a little skeptical a little bit, but the things she's seen, okay, I mean, but again, this is from a person who's just gotten in the mix of this. She should know. I mean, how would she act around a powerful woman that can actually bench press a planet? I mean, she should be a little nervous about that. She shouldn't be like, oh, okay, that's just even on the Arrowverse world, that is a little what the heck. And also, you got to realize, look at Diggle. Diggle's been around Oliver for a very long time, and he's used to certain things. Magic, okay. I can physically see that. Okay, magic. All right, he could deal with it. He was okay to deal with it. But what Barry can do, that is unnerving. It's unnerving to him, and it takes away a little bit of his realism about what's going on in the world. Same goes for Oliver in the whole invasion crossover. He kept telling Kara he has no problem with her. He has no problem with her. He just wants to compartmentalize what the heck is going on and get down to a rationality that he can be able to be comfortable in, that he can be able to be comfortable in his own skin. He can't have it where he's been training his whole life and then he can't be able to do anything. Then why the heck is he here? And that's how they were writing Kara, because Kara was like, well, I can do it. Well, I can do it. Well, I can do it. Like, wait a minute. Then why the heck do we need the other people here? That's how he was trying to tell her. He's like, listen, I have no problem with you, but you also got to realize that you gotta listen to what I have to say, because how can he be able to make a judgment call if he's too uncomfortable with what's going on? He has to be able to compartmentalize what the heck is going on around him. Dealing with Barry is one thing. That's one thing. But now he has to deal with a woman that can actually bench press a planet. He has to deal with all this other nonsense. Now, aliens? Come on. I mean, back off. Let me try to figure this all out and let me get comfortable. Because he's only dealt with criminals. He has never in his life had to actually deal with superpowered aliens. Never. So how can he be able to deal with something like that? And the way they were writing her is she's sitting there going, like this should be an everyday occurrence. No, not to Oliver. And that's how I was dealing with Kate. Kate should not have been that easygoing throughout this whole season. She should be very out of her own skin because she's a military trained person. Yes, but military trained people are not inept to deal with space aliens or superpowered gods. I mean, not unless it's an everyday occurrence and they're able to, place that into their regular training. But on that version of Earth, they don't have anything like that. So to me, it felt like it was very, very weird that they were having her act like, it's just this, whatever. Like, that makes no sense to me. To me, it makes no sense. If it makes sense to you, please put it down below. Like, why does that feel like she should be okay with this? She should not. She should be a little out of her own skin. She should be nervous. She should be a little bit more angry. But she should be able to go, okay, I got to work with these people. They seem nice. Okay, I've never worked with Oliver. He seems like a really cool guy. I've never worked with Barry. He seems like a geek, but not an a-hole. She should be able to go, okay, they're nice people, but I've never worked with any people like this before. So that's how I felt they should have wrote her. That's how I felt they should have wrote her. Not put everyone at arm's length, but actually make it where she's trying to understand and get into her own skin, like figure everything out so she could be able to, again, like Oliver, compartmentalize everything so she could feel comfortable and be able to go, okay, I can be able to do what I need to do. But they made her work too easily with them, and it felt like they've been together for a long, long time. That makes no sense to me. To me, it makes no sense. Now, bringing Kate into the mix, that's one thing, and she should be a little jumbled and try to go off on her own, while the rest of them are working pretty well in tangent. But they haven't worked together for very long. And on top of that, anytime they do these crossovers, they only work together for maybe at most a week. At most a week, unless there's time travel involved, then they work together for maybe like a few months. But they again, it doesn't happen all the time. And they don't have a true strategic genius like a Batman or a Mr. Terrific or a Wonder Woman or an Aquaman. They don't have anybody that's tactically sound. So I know a lot of you can say, well, what about Sarah? Sarah is a ninja. She's an assassin. Assassins don't work with other people. They actually work alone. She's trained to work by herself. And on top of that, even though she was trained to be a horseman, to the point where she was almost capable of being at the level of Ra's al Ghul himself. But that's not her training. Her training was to become silent, deadly, and unseen. So I don't see the way she's built to be like a Batman or a Wonder Woman or anything like that. She's tactically brilliantly sound. She can lead, but can she truly inspire them with absolute genius to be able to take care of the battlefield while people are moving around? That's where I'm getting from, and I think that's where they're going to use Martian Manhunter. So we get to see how they do all of this, but that's how the CW is going to be doing their stuff. This is about the multiverse. This is about our thanks to sorry I didn't go on a tangent, but this is our thanks to Jim Lee for him doing this. And I really, really am happy that Jim Lee passed this off. He gave this to the fans. And I think that Subjective Reviews is right. I think that this is our gateway into getting the Snyder Cut for this year. It seems like this. If Here's the thing, and I said this in my last set of videos. I think that if we really sit down and think about this, ever since ever since we exposed the fact that WB sent that Wall Street Journal report to screw over Chris Wong and screw over Jay Oliva and oh, I forgot her name. Oh man, I forgot. The one who actually truly started the Snyder Cut movement. She's the one who started the Snyder Cut movement. And she lives in China. Um, um, the moment that got completely exposed that it was actually a hit job by WB and then Aquaman was a $1 billion success. Jason Momoa started talking out more about it. WB started to slowly stop fighting it. And then when Aaron Sarnoff got in there and then Toby Emmerich got pushed back because they all knew that he really screwed over a lot of people. He screwed over a lot of people with Walter Hamada. I don't know what happened with them with Ben, and why they went over there to talk to Ben that day after he went on another binge. So there was a lot of things that happened, and it was screwed up. And I think that they're pushing Toby Emmerich to get the heck out of here. They're keeping him around, but they're slowly trying to say, dude, I think it's time for you to go. I think it's time for you to go. We need to get someone else in here. This whole studio needs to be run way differently now. And I think that them producing all these movie contents, giving Matt Reeves giving Matt Reeves his own trilogy and saying nope, it's not part of the DCEU. And I think they're going to take away the black label. I think it's just going to be part of the multiverse. It's not going to have a label on top of it. If it does, okay. But I think it's not, because if it was, they would expose that. They would say something about that. And I think they're not. I think they're just throwing out. I think this was just ideas that they perpetuated out to the fans and perpetuated out there so people will get okay with the fact that these movies are not part of the DCEU. And that they're trying to figure things out. I think also, I think that here's my headcanon, and I hope that you guys don't think that I have some ins. I have always said I never had ins into the WB. It's just trends. What's going on now with this? Here's what I think. I think they're gonna make a deal with Henry. I don't think they're going to move forward with another Superman. I don't think they are. I think that J.J. Abrams is probably not going to do Superman. I think they're going to get someone else to do Superman. I think that they're hearing from the fandoms. More people from the fandoms are saying, hey, okay, we like Chris Reeves Superman. We've always liked Chris Reeves Superman. But there was nothing wrong with Zack Snyder's Superman. There was nothing wrong with it. We just wanted more. That's it. That's all we wanted. And anybody who says, "Oh, I didn't like his versus Superman," or they like Henry Cavill but they wanted a different script, they're saying the same thing. So it's one of those things. They're hearing two things, but it sounds like they want to go forward with Henry Cavill's Superman. But I think that when they threw out "Is Superman relevant?" and it sparked a lot of debates, and I put out a video saying, with how people are today, Superman is not relevant anymore. The way Superman was written is not relevant in today's society. That's why Zack's Superman was polarizing, because it actually made people go, here's the thing. If it's going to anger people to the point where they hated his Superman, that means that it made an impact. It made an impact. It changed. It opened people's minds. And I think that the people that are fighting against it and they want a different Superman, they're not going to listen to them, because here's the thing: the voices that are making the positiveness saying, "Hey, we want his Superman, but can we get something a little bit different?" While Henry is saying, "Hey, I had no problem with what Zack did. I just felt we need to move forward with his story to get to a point where everybody is comfortable with." And I think that when we get to the end of the Snyder cut, I think that everybody is going to change their minds. A lot of people are going to change their minds. I think they will, because they're going to like, oh, damn. So this is what he was going to end with. We were going to get this Superman. So you have to watch Man of Steel. You have to watch BVS, the Ultimate Cut, and you have to watch Justice League, the Snyder Cut, so you can understand the growth from beginning, middle, and end. And I think that a good amount of people are going to change their minds and realize that Zack really did understand what he was doing. He was building a complete arc. He wasn't just going to build him up. He's Superman. Middle movie, he's Superman, but now he's going to go through a crucible. Okay, and then now that no, he was still growing through every movie, every arc. It was one repercussion went into another movie, and the same repercussions went into another movie. That's how Zack built his movie. That's how he built these movies. And people just didn't understand it, because they were trying to fill in the gaps when there was no gaps to fill. You have to wait till the next movie. That was the whole point. And again, it goes right back to what I said in my last video. That was the gag. That was the complete gag that he placed in those movies. If you couldn't understand his Superman and you initially hated it, you just fell into the trap that he wrote in the first movie. People are not going to like what they don't understand. People are going to hate it, what they don't understand. And that's what his mother taught him. That's what his dad taught him. That's what he told Lois. Lois started to understand. That was the whole point of her understanding what happened to him in BVS, the Ultimate Cut. She realized that people did not understand what was going on, and they started to hate him. And then he couldn't understand what was going on, so he started to hate himself. He started to hate the idea of Superman. He felt that there was no need for it anymore. He walked away from it. And I went, wow. He went up to a mountain to basically just die. He just said, no, I'm good. He's just gonna stay away. Let the earth handle its own problems. And that's polarizing. That's polarizing to see Superman do something like that. We rarely ever see Superman just basically put his cape away and say, I'm good. We've rarely ever seen that. Somebody says that never happened. I say, no, we've seen it happen a few times. I'll probably say a handful of times we've ever seen Superman just put the cape away and say, no, he's done. He's done. I think that was the whole point of Kingdom Come. He stopped being Superman because he felt the world didn't need it. They didn't need him anymore. So, we need to understand that Zack did a really good job with this universe. The people are gonna hate it. And here's the thing. Don't argue with them. Just laugh in their faces like they laugh at us. You got people still on Facebook who's sitting there talking about the Snyder Cut. They go, and I saw a couple of them say, "Dude, why the hell are these people still talking about the Snyder Cut? It sucks. Why can't we just get back to good old Superman, good old Batman?" What good old Superman and Batman? Explain. They can never explain it because their mindset is on what happens in the cartoons. And my answer is this. So you want something that was made for young kids and you're a grown adult. Well, it's a cartoon anyway. Nobody had a problem with the Dark Knight trilogy. Not many people have a problem with the Dark Knight trilogy. I had a couple of problems with it. But I understood the point of what he wrote in all three of the movies. I didn't like it, but I understood what he was trying to do. And that wasn't kiddie. There was nothing kiddie in all three of those movies. And you accepted that. So why can't that be the same for Superman? So you're saying that Superman has to be written for kids, has to be written for young kids. So he goes, well, yeah. I'll go, okay, you're a grown man. You're in your 40s, and you're talking about you want something written for a 5-year-old. That's what you want. You have been shaped by the world for close to 30 years. And you're telling me that you want something that's written for a 5-year-old for you to enjoy. Um, okay, okay, okay. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But don't tell me that I should just basically grin and bear it. That makes absolutely no sense. That's the whole point of subjectiveness. That's the whole point of subjectiveness. And I'm willing to accept it. If you're willing to come out and say, I want a child, I want something written for a 5-year-old for me to enjoy, say it. Me, I want something that's written a little bit more adult. And what I mean by a little more, I mean something between the ages of 16 to 20 or 12 to 18, like the animated series was. The Batman animated series was not truly made for kids. It was made for young adults. That's why there were sexual themes in there. There was a little bit more mature themes. There was the sexuality of Catwoman. There was the sexuality of Poison Ivy. There was the sexuality, in all honesty, there was the sexuality of Harley Quinn. But it was done very lowbrow. It wasn't done to the extreme that a lot of us are used to, like what they do in Suicide Squad, where she's wearing booty shorts, basically. So all I'm saying is that there's a difference. There's a huge difference. And you got to do your research. You got to definitely do your research. Ben Affleck was not talking about he wanted to do the Batman the animated series. He was talking about doing 70s, 80s, and a little bit of the 90s Batman. That's what he wanted. He wanted the Dark Knight detective Batman. He wanted the angry, brooding, beat people in the night Batman. That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted to do, and that's what Zach wanted to bring out. But he wanted to do a tortured, defeated, broken Bruce Wayne and rebuild him back into becoming that Batman again. But no one wanted it because they wanted Batman. Well, which version of Batman? And that's what the whole Snyder Cut movement's about. It's about It's about the director's creative rights to do what they want to do, and we subjectively look at the movie and judge the movie as a movie. Did this director do the character justice? Did the director give a good, strong story for the character? Was the antagonist strong? Was the concept cool? Was how he utilized their abilities awesome? Those are the small things. Zack Snyder hits it usually 8 out of 10. And the other 2 is he takes some his own ideologies, he takes some of his own personal concepts of the character and what he believes the character is about and puts it onto the screen. That's what he does. He gets down to the root of the characters. I personally don't understand why people have a problem with it. When you're sitting here looking at Marvel and people are sitting there saying, well, that's Tony Stark. I go, that's not Tony Stark. That's not Tony Stark. Tony Stark does not act like that. Tony Stark is a complete boozer and a womanizer. He's a womanizer. It doesn't matter if he was with Pepper. He's not a one-woman man. He will still try to get inside of Black Widow's pants. He will still try to get into Gamora's pants. He has no problem waving around and his money, his wad, to showcase that he's the best man for the job. That's Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't do that. And that's because they were trying to show the good guy, Tony Stark. Well, he's semi a douchebag. But no, he is a complete douchebag. He is a complete douchebag. And he causes more problems and he fixes them, but he causes more problems than he fixes. He does. He's been doing that for years. Years. Please go do your research. He started a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Captain America is stalwart in his beliefs. He doesn't falter. That's what makes Captain America unfappable. It makes him unyielding, and it also makes him incorruptible. You cannot corrupt Captain America. That's why it was very, very jarring when they had him say Hail Hydra, and they turned him into Captain Hydra for that year. And I thought it was interesting. But the end of it was terrible. The way they ended it was terrible. But in the movies, that's not Captain America. The first two movies, that felt like Captain America. But the third movie, that was not Captain America. I don't want to get into it anymore, but that's not Captain America. That was never Thor. Thor by number 2 was not Thor. That wasn't Thor. Mark Ruffles was never the Hulk. That was not the Hulk. That was not Bruce Banner. The first Avengers movie, that was Bruce Banner a little bit. But by the later movies, that was never Bruce Banner or the Hulk. Never. He was a footnote in the movies. A footnote. Because they didn't know what to do with him. They really honestly didn't know what to do with him. Black Widow was... The way they did Natasha was weird. Clint was kind of... it was close. I mean... those are not the characters. And you're talking about that Joss Whedon did it right. Marvel did it right. No, they didn't. Now I can say in DC, the only thing they got off was the Joker. Lex was Lex. That was Lex Luthor. It just wasn't the Lex Luthor that you're used to, but it was Lex. His plan was a Lex plan. The way he implemented it was a Lex plan. That was something that Lex would easily do. Create a campaign to make the world hate Superman. Bought off judges. Bought off politicians. He blew up the Senate just to showcase the fact that he could do it. And on top of that, pin it all on Superman. Killing his own person in the middle of all of this. Sorry. So, I mean, no. That's Lex. The little quips, I can understand that. But that's personality. And that slowly went away. It was gone. And also you got to realize, he said at the end of the movie, the more he kept doing it, he was showcasing that he's clinically insane. They can't try him. He said that in the movie. If he kept going off, doing his little quips and quibbles and everything that you didn't like, don't you realize that they would say that, dude, he's clinically insane. Let's just throw him inside of a mental institution. What did Batman say? Okay, I'll put you in a place where people will help people like you. I got you transferred to Arkham Asylum. He went, what? Arkham? No. He was like, yep, and they're waiting for you. What the heck? He was scared to death going to Arkham Asylum. That means he could never get out. There was never a way for him to get out. That is a place where you cannot get out. Batman has that place locked. He knows if people get out. Well, we don't know. Actually, I'm sorry. We don't know how that Arkham is run. We don't know. But for him to be definitely scared of going into Arkham Asylum, that means that, dude, he was not insane. He was not insane. The quips that he was doing, that was all in his head. He was just doing it. When he finally exposed himself to Superman, that's Lex. The Lex that we all got. That was the Lex. That was Lex Luthor. And then we get at the end of Justice League, him talking to Deathstroke. He was surrounded by women guards. And he had his stumbling was gone. He was confident. He was securing himself. He had the intellect. He had the backing. He had the no care that Deathstroke is standing in front of him. He's like, dude, you're not going to kill me. He looked like he looked like a mix between Gene Hackman and Michael Rosenbaum. That's what he looked like to me. But we didn't get more of it. And people were like, oh, I hated his Lex Luthor. Really? You don't know what his Lex was going to be about. You knew nothing about his Lex. So now we're probably never going to get his Lex. unless they get Henry and they want to get Mike and they want to get him. And I would say, let's get him. Let's see what they were going to do with his Lex. His Lex can easily. And on top of that, why would you want an older man to be Lex? That means that, dude, he's going to get old. I want a Lex that we can have for a long set of movies, the long haul. And Jesse Eisenberg is young. He can do it. You guys want an old Lex? Like a Bryan Cranston? Dude, the dude will get old. And I mean old. You want a cinematic universe. Why would you want an older person to get old in front of you? The whole point of it, you want the person to get young. You want a young person to last for 10, 20 movies. Jason Momoa is in his late 30s. He's close to around my age. Maybe older than me. He can last for a good long time as Arthur Curry. Gal Gadot can last for a good long time as Wonder Woman. She's still young. Henry can still say as Superman. He'll just get a little gray, which is fine. But everybody's like, oh, we should have a young Batman. Why? His story was supposed to be told. He was supposed to die. He was supposed to die. And they could have easily moved forward and said, hey, you know what? Let's get Dick Grayson. Let's get Dick Grayson. Let's put him in the suit. I think a lot of people would be okay with that. Some people would be mad, like, oh man, I want Bruce Wayne. I'd be like, okay, we've had so many movies with Bruce Wayne. Let's see what they could do with Dick Grayson as Batman. Let's put him in the suit. Let's see what they can do. But you all just threw freaking Ben Affleck to the wolves because you hated the movie. And you made fun of what happened in Justice League. You didn't back him. You should have said, no. Ben, stay. Get rid of that. That's what you all should have said. No. Ben should have stayed. You should have petitions, everything. But no, you guys didn't want it because a lot of people just got pissed off. And now look at where we're at. Ben's most likely not want to come back. It's going to take a lot to get Ben to come back. Who knows? And that's all due to the fact that people did not fight for him. They didn't. And this is where we're at. And I want to thank Jim Lee for doing this. Because now I have a feeling that we will get the cut this year. We're going to get the cut this year now. Because it's all written in the stars. It's written right there. Because it means that they can now move forward with another Justice League movie down the road. It doesn't matter now. They can still keep certain people. It just depends. But you got to get Henry back. You cannot build around another Superman. You can't. People are going to be mad. If Henry walks away, this whole plan is done. It's done. I mean, listen, they can talk about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Black Adam, but they're not going to care. They're not going to care. I will congratulate Dwayne, man. I love The Rock. I've been following The Rock ever since his WWF days, when he was still Rocky Maivia. And he was the electrifying heel of sports of entertainment. I remember all that. But let's be real. Let's be honestly real. He's been sitting on this role for close to a decade. He's been sitting on this role for a very long time. And everybody wants to see The Rock versus Henry Cavill. They want to see the Black Adam versus Superman versus Captain Marvel, a.k.a. Shazam. They want to see this type of a movie. But we can't get that movie if Henry Cavill's gone. You put some other guy in there. It looks weird. Because Henry looks like Superman. The dude is jacked. And he got bigger from when he did The Witcher. He got bigger. They had to remake his clothes because he was ripping out of his clothes because of his muscles. Because he wanted Geralt, who's supposed to be freaking yoked, he wanted to be like that. He's like, no, this dude is yoked. He got himself yoked. And he kept ripping out of the freaking, when he was doing the movements, he was ripping out of the clothes. Like the Hulk. He was like, dun, 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 ripping out of his clothes. So they had to stop filming, get him a new set of clothes. They had to remeasure him because he was getting big. He got big. This man is a dedicated actor. And you don't want him as Superman because the script is suck. No, you suck. You just don't know how to write. You don't know story. Sorry, you don't. So, to my boy, Subjective Reviews. To my boy, Subjective Reviews. I watched your video. Thumbs up. I really like it. I'm gonna give you a thumbs up about it. And I hope that everybody backs us on this. I hope everybody backs himself, backs me, backs even everybody else a part of the movement, like Chris Wong, the Dave the Film Junkie. And I don't know how he feels about all of this, but I think he's gonna be like, he doesn't really care. It seems cool. Let's just get this going. The DC Film Hubs. I have not watched their stuff in months because I've been so busy. And even the common movie marks. I have not watched Leonard 2814. I haven't really watched a lot of other guys. I've been really paying attention to what's going on in my personal stuff, also personal news that's been going on, and whatever video games that's coming out, and even TV shows. Now, everything's gonna start back up next week for the CW stuff, and there's a lot of other things going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, like I said, I think that this is a really good thing. This means the multiverse is alive in the DC universe. Now they're saying that the CW is Earth Prime. Now here's what I think, and I think that the best way to do this is they shouldn't call it Earth Prime. They should never have done that. They should have designated a different Earth, and they should have designated the Earth Prime as the comic books. The comic books should be Earth Prime. And that should mix in also with the comic books. So I hope that they do something like that. I really hope that they keep it in line with that, and and don't do any more crisis events. No more crisis events, because it gets really confuddled and really misleading. Also, in my personal, this is my personal opinion. I think that if they're gonna do a series finale for the Flash, I think that Stephen Amell should make a guest appearance. He should make a guest appearance as Oliver Queen and Usher Berry someplace. Like, he's there. Like, we see Oliver Queen there. And it's a goodbye to his best friend, and it's a series finale for everything. That's what I think they should do. That it should be Barry and Oliver. And while they're still building Jefferson and Barry's relationship, because that's how I think they're going to do it. They're going to build Jefferson and Barry's relationship, and we're going to see a little bit more of that. And I hope that they do it right, because in my personal opinion, I still say it right here and now, Jefferson is the best guy for the job because he has the most years of experience as a superhero. He is very stalwart in his beliefs and how superheroes are supposed to be. Yes, he is a little bit more street. He does do a lot of trash talking, but the thing is, he could back it up. He could back up his trash talk. And that's why I think that it's going to be a much bigger situation now, because now we have Jefferson's world mixed in with what's going on now. So I hope that they get a little bit more nuanced with that. Like, they start bringing that information in, like the whole occupation of Freeland. And we get a little bit what's going on in Central City. We also get a little bit what's going on in National City. The whole situation going on with Gotham, whatever. But if anything big going on in Gotham, we should hear about it. That's how I feel that they should do it. And I hope that they just take their time now. There is honestly no reason. There is no reason to speed this. There is no reason to try to shove so much stuff into these shows. Stargirl should be its own universe. It should never mix in with the Arrowverse. It's not, because they've already shown that Stargirl is Earth 2, is the new Earth 2. So that means that that's what I mean. That I have a huge suspicion that certain Earths that have a little bit more of a connection to their prime Earth, it got mixed in. So that means the one other thing I hope is we get Jay's Earth mixed in too. So we get Jay Garrick that lives in Keystone City that's in this universe. I hope that it happens. I truly hope that happens. So we get now more stuff going on. We get some of those mystical villains. Sometimes we get those classic villains. I hope that we have Mark Hamill back as the trickster. I really do hope so. The main thing I hope that they do is they do the Jesse James Sr.'s death and the Jesse James Jr., the Axel, quote unquote, Axel Rod version. I hope that that version actually takes up the mantle to become the new trickster and goes psychotic, like literally more psychotic than his father. He's broken. He's a broken individual and completely goes on a nut spree and does a lot of crap. And I hope that we get some really good storylines with this after this season, because Bloodwork, in my personal opinion, is a pretty villain. But we have to see what happens, because the whole story makes absolutely no sense now. Barry has a new renewal of life. He also knows the fact of, guess what? His best friend is dead. So he understands the sacrifices that's necessary. So I don't think Bloodwork's going to really be able to do anything against him and be able to corrupt, and not all of them. And he's going to be kind of useless. So we got to see how they do it now, how they're going to up Bloodwork's game. And again, we have this new universe they're going to play with. And the crossover is going to be a lot more easier to pull off. The only thing is, I wonder how they're going to do the Black Lightning situation, because Black Lightning is down in LA. I'm not LA, I'm sorry, Atlanta. It's on the Atlanta lot for WB, while they're in Toronto version of WB. So how they're going to be able to do this? But that's what I'm saying. The crossovers don't take long. And on top of that, they could bring the Flash or one of them over to the lot to do some filming over there for like a few days, and then they can leave. So, it's one of those things. We got to see how they do it. So, like, comment, share, subscribe down below. Hit that bell. This is my only video for the day, unless something really comes to me. But right now, I got to do there's a lot of stuff I got to do, and then I got to go back to play some Kakarot. So, you guys have a great one, and I'll be hopefully you guys put down your comments. Let me know. What do you guys think about this whole situation? Tell me what you guys think of the Ezra Miller cameo. I think it's a great thing. I have a huge feeling now we're going to get that cut because of how WB is playing this, and they're not fighting anymore. They're actually trying to find ways to appease the fans of both of three different levels. The ones that don't like the Snyder cut and they want something different, the ones that are on the fence about the cut but they actually do still want something different, and the people that want the cut and they still want the stuff that Zack Snyder was doing. We might get that cake and eat it too. We have to see how they do it. The multiverse is now alive. We have to see how they do it. The only thing that I hope that they don't do next season is how they're going to top Crisis. That's going to be the big thing. How they're going to top Crisis in the next crossover. Who's going to be the next villain? In my personal opinion, here's my personal opinion. Don't make it reality bending or no. Make it intimate. Make it Mongol. Take certain heroes off the planet Earth. Like, let's say Supergirl, Batwoman, Sarah, The Flash, and Jefferson. 5 of the heroes. They're on War World, no powers, and they have to fend for themselves in the War World itself, while the other heroes are trying to figure out how the hell to get to War World. That would be awesome. Mongol and the War World versus the Super Friends, aka Justice League. We have to see how they do that. That would be awesome. It's a villain versus heroes. It's very intimate. It has nothing to do with him trying to take over the world or anything. No, he just wants to defeat the heroes because they don't have the power to stop him. And then we have this big grand fight between the Justice League and Mongol himself. And he is not a pushover. And I will say right here now, you can't really cuck Superman, because Superman is the only person that can usually be able to stop him. And Supergirl, Mongol's no joke, and that's the way I would do it. Mongol is no joke. He's not a pushover. He's not someone that you can easily say, oh well, Supergirl will easily defeat him. No. And the way I would say it is, John should know right off the bat. This is Mongol. You can't defeat him that easily. He's not a person to be easily defeated. You are out of your mind. And Supergirl thinks like, what the heck, like, dude. No, he's no pushover. So that's how I think they should do it. This next one should be hopefully something intimate, something really cool, and not planetary or anything like that. Just keep it intimate. It's just a villain trying to take down heroes, and I think a lot of us would be okay with that. I think Crisis was their biggest event. I don't even think they should even touch Darkseid. I think Darkseid should be off limits to CW, and it just keep them away. I think they have more than enough villains to take care of this whole situation with this version of the TV Justice League, and I think that would be a better that would be a better mark. Okay, you guys have a great one, and this is I'm gonna say this all the time. Release that Snyder cut.